To Ukraine now, and two British men and a Moroccan have been sentenced to death in the Donetsk region of Ukraine. That's under occupation by Russia and its proxy forces. The Prime Minister says the government must do everything possible to secure the release of the two British men, Aidan Aslin and Sean Pinner. And the Moroccan man, who is a 21-year-old, Brahim Saadoun, surrendered in Mariupol in April. That, of course, is when he was captured, along with the two Brits, by Russian forces. Now, his friend Zina Kotenko is a 22-year-old Ukrainian woman. She came here to the UK through the sponsorship scheme. She's now living with her mum at a host family near Sheffield. She joins us now. Thank you so much for being with us. It must be such a difficult time for you, so we do appreciate you speaking to us. Just talk to us about Brahim. He's a 21-year-old Moroccan. He moved to Kyiv to study. You met him in a nightclub, I think.
Yep. I met him in Kyiv nightclub, K41, on the dance floor. Thankful to our common friends from America, Jaconda, Tilantano, and Jake. I met him, and just from the start, we had a nice conversation. He opened his heart to me, and as well as I to him. Very open-minded person, very kind, and just from the start, he also mentioned that he is aimed to join our army, Ukrainian army, and he already tried several times to join that, but unfortunately, he needed to gain some weight, so he even cheated. He was drinking water before the committee. To gain some weight, and so they can accept him and he can join our army. So he managed to go to Marines to protect us. It was before the full-scale invasion started.
What a story. And I have to say, like, from the images of him, he does look like quite a slight guy. Like, he's obviously quite young, but he does look like quite a slight guy. So I can imagine the drinking water story. It does make sense.
He wasn't really tall.
It's important, of course, to talk about how he joined the Ukrainian army, because it obviously goes against the sham trial, the claims that are in Russia that he was a mercenary. He was clearly fighting on behalf of Ukraine, along with the two British men as well. Just explain, how did he end up fighting in Mariupol? How does someone go from a nightclub in Kyiv to the fight in Mariupol?
Well, in Kyiv nightclub, especially if we are talking about K41 nightclub, that's a place for all of the people. That's LGBTQS plus friendly nightclub, and there's no prejudice, no discrimination. So the place, like, we want Ukraine to be, and to others to see Ukraine like this. So this club is more about the community. We had lots of our national stars dancing in there. Even the advisor of president is dancing there, Leshchenko. So, and he mentions it on Instagram even in his profile that he is a raver. So it's more about community. All of the people go to this nightclub. It's about who you are, not which music do you prefer.
And when did you last hear from? When did you last hear from Brahim?
It was in early March.
And what was happening at the time?
Yeah, he was posting some photos from his he was posting some photo from army, and I was just asking him, what is that? Because it looked so hilarious. So he was explaining me how he was living in there, and he usually say everything is all right, everything is okay, do not worry about me, and that's what he continues to say right now. If you manage to see the last video of Brahim, he recorded for his mother and father, for his family, and even now, he's assuring his mom, "Mom, don't worry about me." And he's looking at the camera and he's smiling. That's the person who he is. Exactly his portrait. A very cheerful person.
It's quite moving thinking of, the 21-year-old, who's got this death sentence, trying to reassure his mum that, everything will be okay. And I'm sure how concerned you and his family must be. What would your message be to, the UK government, to the Moroccan government? What do you want to see happen?
Please care about people, care about democracy, because people and our actions of common people, our lives, that's the key to the bright future, that's the key to wealthy future. Because when the government only think about money or some profits, that's not the way people should treat it. Not the way. Because people are the voice, people are the face of the government. So now the face of the government is sitting in the prison, in uneligible court. So please save your face.
I just want to talk about you for a minute as well. You're obviously a young woman, and you're from Ukraine, from Kyiv. You're now in Sheffield. Your life has obviously been completely upended, and I'm sure, like every Ukrainian, you have your own trauma and your own stories. Tell us a bit about your story. How did you escape from Ukraine? Have you left anyone behind? How are you?
I feel terrible. I cry a lot. I've never cried so much. Sometimes I feel like Ariana Grande was singing, "No more tears left to cry." Um, I escaped Kiev after after a week when the full-scale invasion started. I didn't believe that it would last for long, but unfortunately, that's our reality. It lasts for long. I do not really think it will end in another half a year maybe. So yeah, I'm staying in Great Britain for now. But escaping from Kiev, I left half of my huge family in Ukraine, in Nikopol city, Kharkiv, because my family is not only about my relatives, it's also about my close friends, all the people I was surrounded in there, all of our community, all of the brightest minds, young brightest minds of Ukraine. They left there, and my uncle, with along with his child, 11-year-old, my cousin, they're now in Zaporizhia region, and they can hear shelling. Their house is shaking, and my heart tears apart from hearing that.
Honestly, all of our hearts go out to you as well, and your loved ones who are still in Ukraine, of course. Thank you so much for coming on the programme and telling Brahim's story. I feel like you've really painted a picture of the man that he is, so we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. Just spread the truth and protect humanity, protect humanity, protect people, democracy.